Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Counterpoint podcast. My name is Maurice, and I'll be your host again for the show. And today we have a great little section. We're going to talk about the Southeast Asian market and how effects of COVID with the pandemic and the lockdowns have been affecting smartphone sales. We've covered other markets in the past, and now we're doing this Southeast Asian market. And today with us, we have our research associate, Tanvi Sharma, who will be talking more about the market and how it performed over the past couple of quarters. Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Morris. All good. How about you?
I'm doing great. So Tanvi, actually tell me, what are the major markets for the Southeast Asian region, and how has COVID impacted the smartphone sales in these markets?
In SEA region, the major markets are Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Philippines. Like the other countries, these were also impacted by COVID and had the hardest hit during the lockdown mode. So what happened in the starting, several smartphone brands were able to keep their business going since they have local production facilities and have a safe supply of components for the first 2 months. But with the supply disruption, which started in early March due to heavy reliance on China for trade, resulted a slowdown in the market, which appeared in April when the government implemented large scale social restriction, which is known as PSBB. Hence, the market experienced turbulence caused by various economic factors. So, during the lockdown, several mobile phone brands tried new ways to continue to cater to the customers as shops were shut and e commerce portals were only allowed to sell essential goods. So, even after the lockdown restrictions were eased, factory outlets operated at a partial capacity, which made a further dent to the production.
Interesting. Yeah, so we've seen backing up a little bit, really, with COVID-19, these lockdowns happening, and these Southeast Asian countries have really bounced back compared to other countries. I mean, look at the US right now and where we are in compared to Vietnam. So what types of signs of recovery have you been seeing, and how that's been affecting the market?
The initial phase of pandemic outbreak washed off both the demand as well as the sales. However, the market started adopting the new normal and the lockdown measures were relaxed. So the demand curve started picking up the momentum. So from
Mm.
manufacturing and supply chain perspective, the industry saw the disruption, which also forced the brands upon the re-strategizing their production and supply chain away from the China. So hence the market will rebound soon, slowly and gradually.
Got it. So there was some pent-up demand too then. So what are the top brands that are then contributing to this or that have really gained because of that?
So brands are coming up with different strategies and initiatives to fight against the economic slowdown which has happened during the COVID. So like Vivo came up with the promotional campaigns around its low and mid-range smartphones, which are very suited for the price sensitive Indonesian market. Also, it is strengthening its distribution channels while ensuring that their products are available in the market. Also, Vivo introduced a home delivery service in Indonesia at the time of the lockdown, and the service offered secured and speedy product deliveries with the support of services provided virtually by the Vivo representative.
Interesting. So these are actually all Chinese brands that are contributing to this, right?
Yeah, right.
Cool. Well, have there been any sorts of negative sentiments for these brands?
The anti-China sentiment is prevalent in countries like India, US, UK, but not in SEA market because Chinese brands are registering a strong growth and have significant market share in this region.
So with some of these other podcasts that we've done, we've noticed a shift in manufacturing happening, right? So there has been a shift away from um, OEMs manufacturing China and going to other countries such as Indonesia and Vietnam, which is especially I think recently has contributed or has grown because of some of this negative sentiment over Chinese brands in other parts of the globe. So tell me, what's happening to support these companies coming into the Southeast Asian region and building up their manufacturing plants?
So now what happened? Brands due to COVID have realized that they can't rely on China due to the supply chain issues. So as Indonesia and Vietnam are very well versed with the manufacturing, so many brands are shifting their production to these countries. So like Qualcomm is planning to open a factory in Vietnam to expand 5G chipset production. Another example of local brand, which is WinSmart, has partnered with Qualcomm to produce 5G technology smartphones. Another example of Apple, who has shifted some of its airport production to Vietnam, and roughly 30% of the company's classic airports will be produced in Vietnam rather than in China. So slowly, the reliance on China for the production is declining.
Yeah, so there's that shift happening, really, and to diversify your supply chain, which of course during a pandemic, I think makes sense, especially just because if one area gets impacted, not your whole supply chain will then get affected by COVID or any other type of pandemic. To So it's a very interesting strategy that some of these players are doing. Well, switching topics a little bit, then, just because of COVID and the lockdowns, we've really seen that this offline market being heavily impacted. What can you tell us about the rise in online sales in Southeast Asia?
So, with increased smartphone penetration in the region, e-commerce and online shopping industry have been booming in Southeast Asia as many consumers are staying indoors. So, lockdown have channeled many people online for shopping, learning, and many other things, and which is accelerated the shift to the digital services. So, as we return to the normalcy, the online shopping trend is expected to grow. Also, e-commerce platforms are coming up with attractive campaigns. Recently, Shopee, one of the top e-commerce platform in Indonesia, had a 3-week shopping event called 9.9 Super Shopping Day, offering free delivery and late night discounts.
So then, are you seeing signs of, these digital payments beginning to replace cash?
Yeah, with the COVID-19 outbreak, there is surge in the e-commerce sector. So, despite economic uncertainty, consumers around the world are turning to the internet for goods and services. So, major growth driver behind the digital payments are the e-commerce platforms and their contactless payment system. On these platforms, heavy discounts, promotional offers, exclusive tie-up with banks for financing options are few reasons which are driving growth for digital payments. Also, the businesses are promoting cashless payment services amid demand triggered by social distancing measures. So there are e-wallets such as OVO and GoPay. So they are becoming more common as digital payments replacing cash.
Got it. And just lastly, are there any other top players you wanted to mention, and any other marketing strategies that you found interesting doing this research?
Brands are utilizing various tools ranging from flash sale on e-commerce platforms, tie up with banks for exclusive discounts, using WhatsApp for taking bookings and promotional offerings with the device. For instance, what Oppo did, Oppo Mobile used WhatsApp as the interface to take the orders. Also, Xiaomi is strategizing to introduce an after sale service in the form of smartphone repair that is completed in just 1 hour. So, these are some plans. Also, like if we take an example of students during the lockdown, they were not allowed to go out, so they were relying on the online classes. So, for that, Oppo came up with a campaign called Oppo eSchool, where it offered a discount on special A series phones, which is added to the marketing strategies for it.
Cool. Well, great, Tanvi, and thank you for talking with us about the Southeast Asian market and kind of the impacts that you have seen due to COVID-19, and where this market is really developing, and in terms of online sales replacing offline sales, and also the brands that are really flourishing right now in the market. Thanks again for coming.
Thank you, Morris.
Excellent. Well, I think that's it for today, everyone. Thanks again for tuning in. As always, you'll find this podcast on our website, counterpointresearch.com. And you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, and TuneIn. Please rate us and review us if possible. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.